Welcome to this Unit 2 revision part. In this Unit 2 revision part, we primarily focus that how we can take up the relational model, how we can take up the relational model using the entity relationship diagrams. This was the prime intention of bringing up the databases, etc. So if such is a case is going to take up, now whatever ER diagrams we discussed earlier, those ER diagrams need to be converted to the relational model. This was the aim. So we talked that we have a primary key which is represented with an underline. SSN name and lot, they are going to be called as an attributes, and employees we call it them as an employee as an entity set. So now as there is an underline here, now we mention that this it is going to belong to a constraint. It is going to belong to a constraint. So as it is going to be constraint and it is going to be uniquely identified, and there is no redundant values and all, and there should not be any missing values in that. So we call that one as a unique and not null, and that it is going to be given to the primary keyword. The second type of relation what we need to translate this was we are going to bring up the entity relations. We are going to bring up the entity sets here. So these entity sets, now they are going to be translated. How they are going to be translated? So we call, since is going to be part of the working relation, we call this item as a relationship set. So how we are going to define the relationship set? The very first thing was the working relation is going to get the entity, and it is going to get the entity from department. So obviously these two, they will be called hereafter as a foreign keys here. Even though department ID is a primary key, SSN is a primary key, now these two items, they are brought into the working relation. So that is why we call here as a foreign key. Now how we are going to refer the foreign key? Foreign key is going to be referred using a word called as references. Using a word called as references. So the working table, what we were mentioning, is going to get SSN, is going to get DID, and now SSN and DID, where what exactly they are? They are primary keys. SSN and DID, they are primary keys, but they are borrowed into our workscene table. Then what we call it as? We call them here as a foreign keys. So that is why we are going to refer. Yeah, how do we mingle up the key constraints? The key mingling up of a key constraints will be from one to one in nature, one to many in nature, many to one in nature, and many to many in nature. Fine, that is also taken up. Now let us talk with the one to many relationship. Let us discuss about one to many relationship. So every department must have a manager. Every department must have a manager. So every department must have a manager in sense. The second thing was employees can be of any number, but they will report to one manager. but they will report to one manager. So for every department, we should have one manager, and whoever are the employees here, they are going to report to the manager. So what is this relation called as? We call this one as one-to-many relations. So if such is a case, now how we are going to build up content? So how we are going to build up means we are now taking up the table department help, we are taking the table employee help. After that, we are going to create a relationship set. After that, we are going to create a relationship set. So in this relationship set, what we are going to emphasize was we are going to take up the managers. We are going to take up the managers at this point. So when we are going to take up the managers, now we have SSN and DID. They should be the local variables to refer the global variables. Then we are going to have its local variable since, and then we include the department ID. We are taking it as a primary key, which is from the department table. And now you can see here the two items what we talked, that is SSN and DID, they are going to be projected as foreign keys. They are going to be projected as foreign keys. So this is what we have mentioned. There are a lot of ways of translating the key constraints, and we discussed one of it. So now you can have a glimpse, since it is going to be a data type and department ID is going to be the primary key, and then we are calling this SSN as again a foreign key at this point. Why? Because the reason was we make the mark, we make the arrow mark. So as we made an arrow mark here, it is assumed that the employees, they are uniquely working to one department. So next one was we call here as a participating constraints. In participating constraints, what we are going to take was we will take a discussion on two managers. We will take a discussion on two managers. One manager worked from 2012 to 2020. Another manager started working from 2020 onwards. So now we can say this is since. So this is 801 and 802 SSN. Now what we are going to include, 801 was 2012 to 2020, and 802 he is working since 2020. So 801 he has managed, 801 he has managed from 2012 to 2020. 802 now he is managing from 2020. Now what is this implication gives us? So 801 and 802 both are employees of the same department. Employees of the same department. So, but only thing was only one employee he is going to manage. So we are going to put this in a dark red line. That was the only difference what we have to understand at this point. So how we are going to do? Again, we take the two foreign keys and we refer with SSN and DID, and we uniquely want to give only a department ID. So every department ID should have only a manager. So that is the reason why we assume department ID at this point of time. At any point of time, we don't make a null value. We don't encourage the null value at any point of time. Next one was we have to have a glimpse on weak entity. So in this weak entity, it is going to have a one-to-many relationship, and the dependents of the employee, they are P name and age. So we have the dependents, and these dependents, so assume that an employee, he is going to have a insurance, he is going to have a insurance policy. So the employee spouse or the employee children, so they have every right to enjoy the insurance policy as they are dependent on the employee, as they are dependent on the employee. So insurance policy, it is taken by the employee, and dependents can have the benefits of the insurance policy. But how long? How long? How long means until the employee is in the organization. So as long as the employee was in the organization, the policy benefits also will be taken up for his spouse and children. But if the employee leaves the organization, then the policy benefits will not be accumulated to them. So now the constraint was how long and where are these dependents accumulated. The dependents are purely accumulated on the employee SSN number. They are not part of the organization, but still they are going to get the benefit. So we call such entities as a weak entities. So how we are going to translate such content? Very simple. As long as the employee is in the organization, they will get the benefits. If the person has left the organization, their spouse and children also will be eliminated from the policy. So how I can put this in a normalized form, or how can I put this in a data definition language means we can use on delete cascade. We can use on delete cascade. That means once an employee has been terminated, the dependents are also going to be terminated. So if one item is deleted, the dependents on that item are also going to be deleted. So there we are going to use a reserved word called as a on delete cascade. So once an entity is deleted, the things which are going to be dependent on it is going to be deleted. So that is what we translate the items as a weak entities. After that, we have the extensions towards the unit 2, that was towards the relational model. So the first task what we made was we have glimpses of what was database, how is it advantageous, how is its advantageous DBMS. Then we talked about the models, then we talked about the advantages over the file system, and then we talked about the DBMS architecture, so how it is modeled. After that we talked about the ER model, and in that ER model then we translated from ER model to relational model. So up to now everything was at a theoretical point of view. Now how this theoretical point of view can be navigated towards the relational model means, first we should understand what was relational model. After relational model, how the relational model is going to be implemented. So these will be the highlights of our discussion. So now at this point of time, now we should understand there are some vendors who are going to make up a relational models, for example SQL or MySQL. So SQL, it is a commercial vendor which was taken by the Oracle Corporation. So SQL server. So in this way we have Informix, we have the people, IBM people who are developing the relational databases, etc. So now you have some object oriented models, some of the examples of Informix, Universal Server, Oracle, and the IBM, they have made this DB2. So we have lot of models which were to be there to implement the relational model here. So what is relational model means? If a database is going to make some set of relations, then it is going to be a relational model. What is set of relations? One to one, one to many to many, and many to one. So in this model, if we are able to translate our databases, then we are going to call such entities as a relational model. So how a relational model is quantified means we call the database at this point of time to table. We call the database at this point of time to a table. So table, it is going to have some rows. Table, it is going to have some columns. Tables are represented in form of rows and in form of columns. Now, the other name of the rows in database management system, we call it as tuples. The other name of columns in database management system, we call them as attributes. So that was the key takeaway. Next one, how many number of rows are there? Then we call that as cardinality. So assume there was a database, and in that database if we are taking up in this form, and now I can say 1, 2, 3 and 4. Similarly, it is column 1, column 2, column 3. Now what this is column 4. So now what we can talk it was, what we can bring this scenario was, we mean to say number of rows. So rows is equals to 5. Therefore, cardinality we are going to mention it as 5. Similarly, we have column 1, column 2, column 3 and column 4. Now we say degree is equals to 3. They give some attributes. So how many number of attributes are there? We call them as degrees, or we are going to call it as an arity. Next comes the important word when we are going to put the things into schema. So I'm going to create a table here. Table is going to identify it with attribute, attribute data type and size. So we need to mention attribute name. We need to mention attribute name followed by data type and its size. So in this way, I am going to have string ID with string and name as a string, login as a string, age belongs to an integer and GPA belongs to a real number. So now GPA is going to be called as name of an attribute, real is going to be called as data type, and if I'm going to say integer of 5, then the size is given as, age size is given as 5. So now what is this schema telling? Schema is going to specify the name of a relation. What is name of a relation? That is student, plus the type of each column. So what is the type of an each column? Age, it is an attribute and its type is an integer and its size is going to be 5. So that entire information is going to be brought into a variable or a concept called as a schema. So now here is an example what it is going to bring up towards student relation. Now you can understand here student ID, student name, student login, student age and grade point. So now the question was, what was the cardinality and what was the degree? So degree is also called as a arity of a relation. So we have a relation here, and relation is nothing but some set of rows and set of columns in a table. So now we have row 1, row 2 and row 3. We have row 1, row 2 and row 3 in a horizontal model, and column 1, column 2 and column 3, column 4 and column 5 in a vertical model. column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4 and column 5 in a vertical model. Now cardinality is going to put up number of rows. Degree is going to put up number of columns. So number of columns is equals to 5. So it is going to give number of columns and it is going to give number of rows. So that is what we gave here. Columns cardinality is 3, degree 5 is going to be given as 5 at this point. So do we have a distinct rows, etc.? Yeah, we have to take up the discussion when we are going to apply the key constraints and the other values. So each column of a relation has a name, right? Each column of a relation has a name. Definitely. I have SID is a column, it has a name. Name is a column, it has a name. Login is a column, it has a name. Age as a column, it is a name, and GPA is a column. So again, there is no other chance it is going to take up. Now, when we are going to put this columns need to be taken up with some conditions. Columns can be given with some conditions. So what are the allowable values we are going to call them? Those we give as a range, and such set of values we call it as domain. So domains, they are going to specify a value of a column must be drawn. So for example, if I am going to say BTech, and I can say admission, and the age is between 17 to 24. If I am going to give this model, now what was the domain? Now the domain of an age will be minimum age is 17 and maximum age was 24. If we are going to give the, now we call such set of allowable values. What are the allowed values? It will be either 17, it will be either 18, it will be either 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So we have specifically given a range, so where we are going to build up a domain. So building up a domain for a column, we call that one as a domain constraint. So they should have a unique values and they should have an individual values where we call such as an atomic. Next one. There is something fishy to be understand when we are going to put up attribute names or domains. Suppose if I am going to all a blood group, if I am going to give a field called as a blood group, and you don't know what was your blood group column. So at that point of time, instead of leaving alone, we can have a missing value. You can have a missing value. So that is where we are going to call here as a null value. So there is null for every domain. So after that, now relations are going to be unordered. So we do agree on it. So it is not that 101 is here, next it should be 102, next it should be 201, next it should be 222, next it should be 215, next it should be 217, next it should be 305. It is not in such a model. So however a database is going to be maintained, however a database is going to be taken up, in the same model we are going to bring out the things. So such is where we call here as relations are going to be unordered and they can be saved in an arbitrary order and they can be saved up in an arbitrary order. So what is here arbitrary means the order is not going to be specified, that it is can be whether it is to be migrated towards an ascending or whether it has to be in an descending or no order specific. There is no order specific. So that is why we call here as it is an arbitrary order. So up to now we were telling that we have a table, we have a database, and that table we are going to fix it with only one. Now, second was a database can consist of multiple relation. Up to now, we are going to second form. What was the second form? Was a database. It is going to have multiple relations. Next one, in order to get the information, it can be broken up into different parts. Assume that you want to build an enterprise. It need not be that all the tables can fit into a one database, and database can be splitted according to convenience. So splitting we are going to call here as a broken up. So no need of one database. We can have multiple databases. We can have multiple databases and can be linked or can be related with one another. So how is it possible? Means I'm going to have a big enterprise where I can say accounts, where I can say depositor, and another one was a customer. So one, it is going to store the information about the accounts. Another, it is going to store the information about the customer who owns the accounts. And third, it is going to store the information of the customers who are going to avail those benefits. So instead of making a single relation, now we are decomposing the elements into accounts, into depositor, into customer. So in this way, we are bifurcating the things into uh, multiple ways. So if the data was unknown, yeah, of course, we are going to give up the null values. So up to now we talked about how to build a database. Now in order to build a relational query, we need some structured query language. We need some structured query language, SQL part. So SQL, initially it was with IBM taken up in 1970 projects, thereby it was 86, 89, 82, 99. Now it is with Oracle. So why we are going to use these relational query languages? So relational query languages, they are having simple and they can build powerful query of data. So we can have an optimized way of storing, we can have a optimized way of retrieving. So all that it is going to be taken up. So that we call it as data definition, and one we call it as data manipulation. So the very first aspect was to talk about the data definition language. Data definition language. So when we are going to talk about the data definition language, now you can assume that few commands which are going to fall in the data definition language will be creating of a table, obviously opposite dropping of a table. Next we can modify the table construct. You have 3 fields, by mistake it was 4 fields, but you created only 3 fields. Now if you want to join one more field, then you can make an alter. Similarly, you called it as employees, YOEEES, but there was a spelling mistake, so you want to rename the table. At that point of time, we are going to take up a rename option here. So now you can see an example. We are going to create a table, and the table name was student and the second table name was enrolled. Later on you can see here we created an attribute SID. We call it as an attribute. Then we call it as character, that we call it as a data type. Then we gave 20. 20 is going to be called as size. So SID, name, login, age and GPA, all these elements we are going to bring up into one form. Next one we are going to have enrolled, SID, CID and grade. So we again taken up another table that is with SID, CID and grade. So in this way we have made a link between two tables, that is student and enrolled. So now this part of content we are going to call it as schema. That is table name student, table attribute name student ID, table data type character, table size how much it is 20, 10, whatever it is we are going to mention. The other commands which are going to fall up into this item, they are going to be called as destroying, or they are going to be mentioned here as an altering. So if we want to drop the table, then we are going to use a command called as drop followed by table, a reserved word, and the user defined name. What was the user defined name? The user defined name was student. Therefore, student was deleted. So that is what we call here as the second entity. Next one, we have only at this point type time we have student ID, we made name, we made login, we made GPA and age. So we have given only 5 attributes. Assume that we want to add a sixth attribute. Assume that we want to add a sixth attribute. Then to that schema we are going to add with altering of a table. So it is going to add a new field. So how I can add? That means I am going to use an add followed by the name of a column, followed by name of a column. That is, the name of a column was first year and it belongs to the data type. That data type we are specifically calling here as an integer. So in this way we are going to build up a altering towards the table. Next, we have to work with the table what we have created. In order to work with the table what we have created, now we have to work on manipulation of table. Now we have to work on data manipulation language. So at this point of time, data manipulation language. Now what we are going to do as DML, what we are going to do is we can use a select command. We can use a select command, and in that select command we have ample amount of classes. That is where class, from class, group by class, order by class and having class. So using any one of a classes are going to be an optional entities. We are going to work with the DML commands. That is either to insert into a database, either to delete from a database, either to update from a database. So either we can insert, either we can delete, or either we can update on a database. So we are going to use a DML. So DML it is going to work or using the select command. So we are going to use select command for fast retrieval of data. So what is the fast retrieval of data means? Suppose if I am going to give star, it is going to bring all the fields. It is going to bring all the fields in the database. So star we call it as an wildcard. Star we are going to call it as an wildcard. So it can be slash, it can be percentage, it can be hyphen. So all these elements they are going to point out to the wildcards. Now select star from student S where S dot age is equals to 18. So now S it is going to be called as a nickname, pet name, or we are going to call it as aliases, or we are going to call it as an aliases. So this select, if it is in an ER diagram, it is called as an entity set. S is going to be called as an entity. In an object-oriented programming, if student is going to be called as class, then S is going to be called as object, right? In ER diagram, entity set is going to be called as student, then entity is going to be called as S. In object-oriented model like Java or Python, if student is going to be called as a class name, S is going to be called as an object name. Now, in database management system, if student is going to be called as a table or a database, S is going to be called as an aliases. So, instead of directly writing the table, we are going to build an aliases, and thereby we are going to mesh up with the data. So now what was the condition? We are going to have an ample amount of database. In this ample amount of database, we molded n number of instances. So we molded n number of instances. So these n number of instances, it is going to bring up the number of meeting up the criteria about the students whose age is meeting exactly. We are going to give up a equal comparison operator. We are going to work with a comparison operator as an equal to. Next one. The previous example was totally talking about the data manipulation language that is for a single table, right? The previous example, we are working only with the single table entities. We have worked only with the single table operation. But now let us talk about the multiple table operations. So if there is a multiple table operation, then we need to have two or more tables in a relation. We need to have two or more tables in a relation. So now we are going to talk about a query here. So student, it is going to be table 1. Enrolled, it is going to be table 2. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to manage and build query between two tables. So we are taking up student table and we are taking up enrolled table. We create an aliases with E, we create an aliases with S, and then we are taking S dot name. That one will come from the field. Next we are going to call it as enrolled E dot CID. So E dot CID, we are going to get the two names where S dot SID is equals to some E dot SID, and grade is equals to A. So I am going to get grade is equals to A. Then I am going to say 650 is there, 650 is there. Now I am going to have this as an equal to complaint. Then I am going to have A is equals to, now it is meeting the two conditions. Now I can say answer is equals to 53650. Why it is 53650? Because the S dot SID and E dot SID, we are making a comparison. The ID should exist in the table 1, ID should exist in the table 2. After making a comparison, then we are going to meet up another condition. Both the things should be true. That is, the grade should be also A. When A is meeting, when 53650 SID is meeting, then we will be getting only one tuple. We will be meeting only one tuple. That too we will get it for Smith, and then we get his CID topology 112. We get it for Smith and we get his topology as 112. So up to now we have talked about the way how we are going to retrieve the data. So along with retrieval, along with retrieval, along with the retrieval of data, along with retrieval that we have done with select command. Others was we can make addition or we can make deletion. So for addition we are going to use an insert, and delete we are going to use a delete command. For addition we are going to make a insert operation, and for delete we are going to make a delete operation. So insert into, this is all we call it as the keywords here. Then we are going to have student SID, name, login, age, GPA. We have around 5 fields, and to these 5 fields we are going to supply up the values. So that is 53688 Smith, his email 18 and 3.2. So 3.82 pointing to GPA, 18 pointing to age. And remember, if we are going to work with the strings, if we are going to work with character, then it should be taken in double quotes, or we can use a single quote. Either it can be a double quote or it can be a single quote. So that is why we are putting the characters in this. But numeric, it doesn't need either a single quote or it doesn't need a double quote. So next one, we are going to insert a row. We are going to insert a row, and the thing was, at a time one row can be inserted. At a row, only one row or one operation can be inserted. Next comes the way what we use, that is we are going to call it as a delete. So now we made an insert operation Smith. Now you want to remove the Smith from a database, therefore we call remove. So how I can remove was, I can say delete from student where name is equals to Smith. Though that records whoever names are going to be Smith, all the names are going to be deleted. So that is where the delete operation is going to come into picture. So after that, we are going to have integrity constraints. Next, we are going to discuss about integrity constraints. So when we are going to work with integrity constraints, the shortcut we call it as ICs. They are the conditions that must be true for any instance or at a time in a database. So at any point of time, for any instance on a database, the integrity constraints to be satisfied. Okay, then what are integrity constraints? The best examples will be not null. Next one will be unique, followed by primary key, followed by foreign key. So these are the mostly used integrity constraints. So when we can make a domain, or we can use a default value. So these are some of the way how an integrity constraints are going to be represented. So when we are going to put the integrity constraints over a table, at any point of time the integrity constraint should be met. So that was the key understanding when we are going to work with a integrity constraints. So they are purely applicable to at what type of relation we are going to build. They can be assorted. Now, how are these constraints taken up? The constraints are taken up as keys, and the constraints are going to be taken as foreign key. We call it as reference key, and the constraints, they are applicable to a domain. So I am going to call it as an age. Age is minimum 0, maximum 100. So your age should be between 0 and age should be between 100. So now I'm going to give a age, and it is a number, and number it is size of 3, and it is going to have a range that is between 0 to 100. We call such constraints as a domain constraints. Now constraints can be applied to a single table, and constraints, when they are applied to a table to all the rows, in table, then we are going to call it as table constraint. But if we are going to give it between multiple tables, but if we are going to apply the constraints between multiple tables, then we are going to call it as a assertions. If we are doing these things between multiple tables, then we are going to call that one here as an assertions. So these are the key differences when we are going to talk about the integrity constraints. So we will pause our revision unit 2 revision for today.